both games so far, and especially at Raymond James Stadium where it was humid, it was scorching hot in that first game, or the first home game of the season.
Yeah.
Still played extremely hard, had his better game of the season out of the first two. So kudos to Cade Otton, had 6 catches for 41 yards. He spoke about being able to play in this heat and 97% of the snaps. So let's hear from Cade Otton.
Yeah, I think so, and that's something Coach Canales has talked about. Just like the more reps we can get in this system, the more it'll come together, the better we'll feel about it. And so I think just sticking to the run is so important in this offense, and to us developing as a group, and for us to get that amount of carries the first couple weeks, to get those runs on tape and to study them and watch them is only going to do good things for us down the road, and obviously led to great results in the games.
That was Cade Otton also talking about the importance of sticking to the run game, which we saw much more of an improvement of in this game. But I like what Cade Otton can do as, the third or fourth option. I called him Mr. Reliable to his face when talking about kind of just being that safety valve for Baker Mayfield in this offense. But let's get a little bit more of Cade Otton talking about stamina.
Yeah, it's a great challenge, and I try and take pride in never asking to come out of the game. So it's just like one of those things, like you got to refocus every single play, just focus on that next rep and what you have to do to win it. And so that's really all I'm thinking about in the moment. And then, however many plays I play at the end of the game, it is what it is.
How are you feeling after the game? Is there just a ton of ice involved?
Yeah, there's ice, there's laying down. No, I feel good. It's, we talk about, one of my coaches in college said, like, after a game you lose and you play a lot, you hurt. But if you win, it's like a sweet pain, So thankfully I've had the sweet pain the last couple of weeks, and hopefully that keeps going.
Yeah, I love that last quote about, like, when you win, it doesn't hurt as much. It's right. A good feeling. It's like if you work out for the first time in a while, like, I'm feeling nice and sore. So hopefully the Bucs keep that winning streak going.
Exactly. I just see here in the comments that I guess there was an issue with the streaming on YouTube. So if you missed the first couple of minutes of the show, I guess it's corrected itself now. Maybe that's the case. We're doing it live, so we're not watching it on YouTube. We're doing the show, but you'll be able to see the whole show in its entirety. Sometimes technology, it's great when it works, but sometimes there are some glitches.
You hit start and it doesn't
on our end, but yeah, exactly. So Scott Jacks says the Zion interview was awesome. So we're going to get some analysis in the game, and we'll have roll call here in about 11 minutes. But do you have any Zion interview as well?
Yeah, got a couple from Zion. This first video I'll play, it's him just talking about his assessment of like how he did it in the game, and we talk a little bit about the defense closing it out at the end with those 2 big turnovers, especially obviously Shaq Barrett's game-winning pick 6.
Yeah, just had a really good week of preparation, met with a lot of our coaches, and got comfortable with the game plan. And for me, it was a good week of preparation. And the thing that I've been doing in the past is thinking a lot when I'm out there. Yeah. And so if I go out there and think, then what's the point in preparing? So I just went out there, wasn't thinking, just playing. Sure, yeah, I knew that at some point in the season I was going to have to step up and become a starter. And so if you would have told me that it was going to happen in week 2 in the offseason, I would have shook my head like, no way. But that's the game of football. Anything's going to happen, so you have to be ready at all times. And I got my name called up, and I was ready to go.
Can you speak on the defense closing the game out with those 2 big plays at the end? I mean, especially the Shaq pick 6. Everyone was going wild when he reached the end zone.
It was absolutely incredible, especially for him and everything that's going on. I mean, you wouldn't want that to happen. And talk about, like, divine intervention. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. But that just speaks to the defense as a whole. I mean, we play the fourth quarter the same way we do the first quarter. We're just going to come out and keep firing. We don't get tired. We've been in this Tampa heat. We know what it's like. We're conditioned. We're ready. And, we're very excited moving forward.
And the next thing that really interested me with Zion McCollum, and this kind of goes back to an interview that you, Scott, had with Zion, where Zion just talked about him feeling so much more comfortable, especially after a conversation he had with Todd Bowles, where Todd essentially told him to drop his nuts on the table.
Right.
Shout out to Manscaped. And so I was curious about where his confidence level was both before this game and following it. And this was his response.
I feel absolutely, amazing confidence-wise, especially going in. I know this was a big game for me that I just put pressure on myself to say, your career could go one of two ways. And this game is a really defining moment for me, especially being the first starter of my second year. So I just took it and I ran with it. And, me athletically, I always think of myself as being, bigger, faster, and stronger than any receiver that I'll ever line up against. And this game, it was just truly just believing that and just knowing that at the end of the day, it's me versus them. And I'm going to bet on myself every time.
Yeah. You can tell he's been hanging around Carlton Davis, man.
Yes.
I don't know that he had that level of swagger, Matt, walking into one Buck place as a rookie last year. I just don't. But Carlton Davis, man, he just rubs off on you that way. It's like he's going to make you a believer. If not, then you're out of here. But Zion's sticking around, and it's good to see him improve. Every interaction we've had with him, he's a nice guy. Sometimes I don't like football players who are nice guys. I just don't. I like a-holes. I like Warren Sapp's, Hardy Nickerson's. I like guys that Jason Pierre-Paul, guys that are fire and brimstone guys.
Yeah.
But then I got to remind myself that, John Lynch was a really nice guy. And you can still be a really good football player.
Tristan Wirfs is a living example.
Tristan Wirfs, Leroy Selman. Right. So you can be one of the other and still be successful. And Zion's a nice guy. He's a guy that you do want to root for. And it's funny. I'm sitting there in the press box next to Bailey Adams. And there was a play right before the interception he should have had, where we both looked at it, and I think he had a pass breakup where he closed and he was like half a step late. And it's like he saw it the same time that the receiver saw it, and he pulled the trigger like just a tick late. But the thing is he recognized it. I looked at Bailey and I said, you know what? I said, if they throw that ball again, Zion's picking it off. Because he realized it. You could just tell by his body language. He wasn't like, oh gosh, but he was just like, okay, next time, like, I got you, right?
Yeah.
And I swear, a couple plays later, same side of the field, everything. He went up and got the ball, and you can just like see him believing in his talent. And when you believe in your talent, then you can pull the trigger and hit the target. And I see this guy getting some interceptions. It's kind of funny, Matt, where he said, I knew he was going to get some starts this year. Yeah, he's in a room with Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. Not exactly the healthiest cornerbacks, unfortunately, for this team. I'm laughing and jest. I wish no ill will to any Buccaneer starter by any means. But, yeah, those guys have had a hard time with injuries, and injuries, not really their fault, especially a toe injury. But, Todd Bowles believes in this kid, man. He believes in him the way he's believed in Carlton Davis, the way he's believed in Jamel Dean. And we'll see. I'm excited about where he's going in his career.
And let's be real, Zion McCollum is going to be a very important factor and a key in this Bucs defense, because we don't know how long Carlton Davis is going to be out for just yet. This could be a lingering thing that goes on for a while. And shout out to Gary with the comment.
Yeah.
So Zion, I think eventually, maybe not this season, obviously, but eventually I think he's going to be a full-time starter for the Buccaneers.
I do too.
It just kind of depends on what role that he's in.
Yeah.
And we saw him with big opportunities last year, and it didn't necessarily work out. And I think some of that is just being a rookie in the NFL, especially at the corner position. So Zion's going to get his opportunities, not just as a starter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles or some of the next upcoming opponents, who are you going to pick on? And I get that Jamel Dean has struggled a little bit in the first two games, but you're more than likely going to pick on the second-year player starting at corner.
Of course. Yeah.
Or Christian Izien, but the way that Christian Izien has been playing, that might be a huge mistake.
And it's his job to make him pay, right, Matt? I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? And so, he's going to get some opportunities. We'll see. I saw some of you Pewter people put in the chat here a couple of nice guys, right? Work done, definitely a nice guy. Rondé Barber, nice guy off the field, but like a silent assassin on the field. Rondé will slit your throat, man. Like that dude on the field, he's like John Lynch. The switch flips. You go from being a nice guy to I'm going to knock your block off type player. So work done. Yeah, always a nice guy. Rondé on the field, he was not a nice guy. Rondé, I'm not saying he was dirty. He wasn't, but I mean, he was he was a stone cold killer. He had that kind of mentality, and that's kind of the thing. And the funny thing is like we're not supposed to like get involved. Peel back the curtain a little bit here. I like Zion. I'm rooting for the kid. I mean, he's athletic as all get out, right? And I gave him Rondé Barber's number last year, and I'm not sure what it is about you young whippersnappers in your young generation. Why don't you ask for help? But I said, hey. Rondé Barber struggled with a really bad rookie season in 1997. Obviously you're 6'2", he's 5'10".
Yeah.
He was a nickel guy. You're an outside guy. I mean, Rondé also played outside, but give Rondé a call, right? I mean, he's right here in the neighborhood. He's around one Buccaneer place sometimes. Soak up some of that knowledge. And then training camp rolls around. I'm like, did you ever call Rondé Barber? He's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, Zion, what are you doing, man? Like, all it's going to do is make you a better player when you have a conversation with Rondé. So they finally kind of hooked up in training camp. And of course, Rondé's like, wait a minute, you have a twin brother too? So they got something in common aside from being Buccaneer corners, but better late than never. But I'm glad that Zion seems to be taking that step because, as you said, Matt, he's going to be a future starter at some point.
He's also playing against his brother this week. His brother plays with the Philadelphia Eagles. They won't be on the same side, but that was another brief storyline from the press conference today. But yeah, I'm really excited for Zion McCollum. The speed and everything is incredible, but once we get a super chat, that's where the topic goes to next. So we got one from Paul, aka Florida Dreamhouse. Thank you so much, Paul, for the $5
Thank you.
chat. It says, "Happy Victory Monday from Cleveland, Ohio." By the way, I'm sure, Paul, you maybe started watching this a little bit because Baker played for the Browns. We had a ton of Oklahoma people in the Pewter Game Day live stream.
That's awesome.
Yesterday. So Boomer Sooner to all the Oklahoma fans or Cleveland fans that are still rooting for Baker. Anyway, Paul, thanks again for the super chat. Happy Victory Monday from Cleveland, Ohio. Baker Revenge Tour keeps rolling along. Is 2020 Baker back or still too early? PR is my go-to for all things Bucs. Paul, thank you again. Thank you so much. Is Baker all the way back? I am still going to be cautious of the fact that it is only 2 games against teams that are 0-4 overall. Now, if Baker plays turnover-free football against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Bucs keep it a close game, I'm not predicting just yet that the Bucs are going to win. But if Baker plays a solid game and the Bucs hang tough with the Eagles, the defending NFC champions, right? That will go a long way to deciding that Baker Mayfield is back.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Matt. And I wrote about this in today's 2-point conversion article column. I'll drop it in the chat here so you guys can read it. In a nutshell, we've kind of seen this magic act before, right? With Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
with a couple of amazing games and a 2-0 start. And the Buccaneers looked like world beaters in 2018. Didn't end up that way, but it was a hot start, and it kind of captivated the nation. Remember, the Fitz Magic era was born, right? He came out wearing Deshaun Jackson's attire, and he's even wearing that stuff on his DraftKings commercial now. So it's kind of cool that started in Tampa. But we'll see, right? I'm not doubting Baker. Am I a believer? I'm a believer through 2 weeks, right? Let's see how he fares against the Eagles, because the Bears, that was the JV team. Now we're getting the varsity. Now we're going to see, this is going to be the measuring stick for the Buccaneers, and also too, I think, for the Eagles, right? They beat a winless Patriots team. They beat a winless Vikings team. The Bucs have beaten 2 winless teams themselves in Minnesota and Chicago. So we'll really see. I think talent-wise, the Bucs are good. I think the Eagles are better. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl last year. I'm not going to disrespect Philly and say that they're a bunch of bums. They're not. Yeah. They're a good football team. At the same time, Todd Bowles has had some previous success against the Eagles, beating them twice in 2021, and that was at Philadelphia on Thursday night, and then in the wild card game here in Tampa. Now, at the same time, Jalen Hurts has gotten better. They have A.J. Brown. They've got Devontae Smith. They've got better weapons all the way around. The offensive line is bigger and better.
I mean, look how the Eagles ran it against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Versus how the Bucs ran it against the Minnesota Vikings. So there are a couple of different factors going into this game. But you mentioned that the Eagles might be a little bit better than the Bucs. There are not many things that are better than a Victory Monday roll call.
That's right.
because it is 4:20. We want to know where you are at, Pewter people. For those that may not know, we do this every Monday, whether we're in season or not in season, where we do roll call because we love interacting with the Pewter people, all the Bucs fans that watch this podcast because you guys are so great. So Scott's going to start talking about a Bucs topic that he's in the mood to discuss. And in the meantime, if you guys could start putting in your address or your address, your location of where you were watching from, I'll put it up on the screen. Yep. And we'll find out where everyone's watching from because we got fans from all over. So Scott, without further ado, please take it away.
I appreciate it, Matt. Thank you. So if you look at this this picture here, and if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, well, I'll just tell you, it's a picture of Baker Mayfield just flipping the ball, tossing it, shovel pass, whatever you want to call it, to Cade Otton. And he's done this a couple of times now. I think once or twice in Minnesota, several times yesterday, where he's just about getting sacked, and he'll do a sidearm delivery or he'll flip the ball to Rachaad White, to Cade Otton. And it's a little bit of a magic act right now. I mean, he's a bit of a Houdini. He's really escaping some of these sacks. He's been sacked one time. He owned it. It was in Minnesota when they had a 3-man pass rush. He actually backed into the sack of Danielle Hunter, who was actually getting blocked by Luke Gedeke pretty well. So I like Baker Mayfield, but when you're winning, you're making big plays. You're getting the pick sixes, you're getting the sacks, you're making the timely interceptions like Christian Izien at the goal line at Minnesota right before halftime. But you're also doing the little things right. And one of the things that really impressed me about Baker Mayfield was just kind of his football awareness. Sometimes you get a lucky bounce. Sometimes the ball does bounce your way. But when the ball bounces your way, you got to fall on it, Matt. You got to grab it. You got to pick it up. And that's what happened on a Dave Wells fumble after he got the ball punched out. It literally flew back 10 yards right in Baker Mayfield's vicinity. And he didn't shy away from it like, maybe Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. Oh. No, he pounced on that ball like a live grenade, right, trying to save his teammates. And he saved the Bucs turnover-free streak. It's now at 2 games where Tampa Bay's offense hasn't turned the ball over. I can't remember the last time that's happened in Tampa Bay. I'm sure it has. I just don't remember it. I'm old. But, we also saw a similar play back in the first half when there was a field goal block. And how many times, Matt, have you seen a punter, right, where he's the last line of defense on a punt return, and here comes the guy. And it's usually like some little 180-pound pipsqueak punt return guy, somebody usually even bigger than Devin Tompkins, who's about 155.
Yeah.
But we see the punter go,
it happened in last week's Monday Night Football game when the Jets won on that punt return. The Bills punter, because it was all over social media. The Bills punter.
It's sad. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
I can't get it. It's just bad. It's horrible. It's like they think they're playing flag football and they're going for the flag rather than make the tackle. Yeah. No, Jake Camarda doesn't play that. No, Jake Camarda runs. And where do you run at the combine, Matt? Like 4.6? Something like that?
It was pretty. I mean, it definitely stood out among special teams.
Yeah. He's an athlete, folks. He's not just a punter, right? Remember that crazy punt where he picked up the ball and it was a bad snap, picked it up, avoided getting like tackled for a loss, and then ran and then kicked the ball down the field. I mean, the guy's an athlete. For him to show enough moxie, right, to run back, outrun some Bears defenders, and fall on the ball and recover it, that is usually a scoop and score opportunity right there, Matt.
100%.
Because the only 2 guys that are going to be around the ball at that time, they're not going to be the big fat linemen who are blocking. No, it's going to be the kicker or the punter. And I don't know if about Chase McLaughlin to say whether he would have fallen on that ball or if he would have, taken the special teams way out. But Jake Camarda will not lose the ball. And Baker Mayfield didn't lose the ball. So nobody recovers fumbles like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm impressed by that early on. It's made a big difference, believe it or not. In yesterday's game, it was close up until Shaq Barrett's pick 6. And so, you look at Talladega Nights, right? And it's, shake and bake, right? Well, I say a little, that's right. I say a little Jake and bake for the Buccaneers yesterday. The little things matter. Recovering fumbles, keeping possessions, right? You deny the Bears points right there. And Matt, what happened after Baker Mayfield recovered that David Wells fumble the next play, setting up 3rd and 14?
Well, it's a pretty thrilling 3rd and 14 touchdown pass to Mike Evans with his huge game. By the way, before we get back to Mike Evans, I think the 2 plays by Baker Mayfield and Jake Camarda were kind of ways to stay in the good karma of the football gods. Because let's not remember, last week against the Vikings, what did Chase McLaughlin hit? It was like a 50 to take the lead. It was over 50 yards. It was like a 55-yarder, 57-yarder, something like that.
Yeah.
So like that's a very long field goal that was not guaranteed to hit, but that was the game-winning field goal right there. And then Baker almost got picked off on his first throw of the game. So they both honored the football gods by jumping on that football later on, and Baker diving on that punt. But I mean, Mike Evans' game was absolutely incredible. It was electrifying. I mean, when he scored that touchdown, the Bucs fans were, pumped up, going crazy. They were, energized after almost afraid they were going to lose the football, only to get a touchdown on the next play. So this is a great time to talk about the presenting sponsor of PewterReport.com, Celsius Energy Drinks. Make Celsius your number 1 pick with all the assortment of flavors that they have. The newest one in stock for Celsius is the Cosmic Vibe, but you can't go wrong with any of the flavors. The Arctic Vibe is my personal favorite. I can go on and on about all of it. So there's 0 sugar in these energy drinks, no post-energy drink crash or jitters that you might get with another product out there. So if you need to know where to find one, go to the Celsius store locator on their website, punch in your address. That's where you can throw in your address, and it will tell you the closest geographical location where you can find one. And then you can pick them up at your local Walmart, Target, convenience store, health and fitness store, or your bodega. And once you know that you love Celsius so much, then you can start getting in bulk. I recommend getting that variety pack because variety is the spice of life. You can go to Amazon, do the subscribe and save, and have it sent to your residence whenever you want. And you're in control of it. So it could be weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Just make sure you're drinking Celsius energy drinks. Make Celsius your number 1 pick. Celsius, the official sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast.
Yeah. So I had a request from somebody when I was doing the Bucs mailbag.
Okay.
And it was a Victory Monday request that if I could throw 2 little catchphrases in the same sentence, and I'll do that. Could you imagine if he was so hot and thirsty and was looking for a nice, cool, refreshing Celsius that Diaby walked into a bodega for a Celsius? That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
That would be incredible.
So there we go. Happy to oblige. So let's see. Oh, we got the little Celsius. I had my first Celsius last night. It was awesome. Remind me to drink it before 4 p.m. Yes, true. She almost come with like a warning, like this product works really, really well. And I have to do the same thing. I'm dragging a little bit today. It's 4:30, and I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I want to make sure I sleep well tonight. So, I cannot have my afternoon Celsius. Sometimes they go for that on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I have to refrain because it will keep me up all night. It works very, very well.
So I'd seen some discussions and everything like that going back to the running.
We got a super chat.
Oh, we got a super chat. Never mind. Tano Games. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, I was at the game yesterday. Man, it was a hot one. Mm-hmm. I have to say, even though Baker has dodged a lot of possible sacks, the O-line has impressed me so far.
Yep.
Yeah, overall, I would say certainly the offensive line has not been perfect, and Baker Mayfield has really bailed out the offensive line here and there. But overall, for what everyone is asking of this offensive line, what they are demanding of it, I think run game obviously was vastly improved, and I still feel like the run game has a long way to go.
I agree.
And they were still efficient enough. So don't freak out about the run game just yet. I mean, Rashad looked way better, even though Sean Tucker had 8 rushing attempts for 7 yards. Still a work in progress. Right. I think after the bye week, let's all reconvene and see how it goes. Pass blocking, work in progress, but I'm not as fearful of Luke Edeke and Cody Mauch as I once was.
I'm a little bit more concerned about Robert Hainsey, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I tell you, not that he's played bad. It's just, man, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, boy, I think, oh man, that's not good. It's not going to be good. Robert Hainsey, he better eat his Wheaties before the game, big time. As Wayne says, Tristan Wirfs had a false start. Oh no, Tristan Wirfs with a false start.
All I'll say is, I think the biggest reason why, let's remember, this game was fairly close until the Shaq Barrett pick 6 at the end.
Yeah.
I think while the Bucs didn't have, they didn't have 100 yards worth of penalties. I believe it was 55. Is in that 50 range.
Yeah.
The penalties came at costly moments, which
they did
really hurt them. Like the Tristan Wirfs one, for example, that was a 3rd and 1 in the red zone where if it's 3rd and 1, you can go play action, you can run it. You have a number of different options. You get a false start penalty, 3rd and 6. Now you have to pass it. There's miscommunication. Anyway, so for the field goal, that's the field goal that got blocked. And then later on in the game, in that 4th quarter, when you have a chance to close it out, you're up by 1 possession, but even a field goal makes it a 2-possession game.
Right.
I'm not going to knock Mike Evans too much because he had an incredible game, but there was a holding penalty on him on a screen to Chris Godwin, which it would have been a first down, but that kind of ruined the drive right then and there. There were a couple of costly penalties that kept the Bears around until the Bucs finally said enough.
Yeah, and it's also little things too, right? We talked about the 2 key fumble recoveries that kind of flew into the radar because the Buccaneers won, and it kept points off the board for the Bears. That Jake Camarda, he deserves it. Jake Camarda, the Jake Camarda fumble recovery was big. The Baker Mayfield fumble recovery was big. But the Jake Camarda punting yesterday was really, really good. I mean, not just the 72-yarder that completely flipped the field, but not just his punt at the end set up that pick 6. It nailed him right back inside the 5-yard line. So, it's when Todd Bowles talks about complementary football, you can't forget special teams too. And even though there was the special teams gap, I think it was more on Justin School, the offensive tackle, than it was Luke Gedeke because it was in between the two. Mm-hmm. But the rule is when you're blocking on PATs, extra points, you always step to the inside. That's your gap. Your inside gap is your gap. And so that gap was actually School's. He kind of got blown up a little bit. And I think that's why there was a block. But
I think Jake Camarda so far is the MV punter. Not the MVP, the MV punter. I saw someone tweet that out, so I can't take credit for it. But we do want to give credit to Bucs Baseman for this $5 super chat. Thank you, Bucs Baseman, who says, it's low-key disrespectful that watching sports media all day, not a single person brought up the Bucs/Baker, but talked about Fields and the Bears. Yeah, interesting point. I think that just kind of goes in general. Fear-mongering tends to get more eyeballs on it, whether it's something in the news. It usually tends to slant more negative in general.
Right.
Football as well. I mean, obviously the Bears are a very historic team when it's a top pick.
You're also talking the Chicago media market and then like Tampa Bay too. So there's that for the national perspective.
I'll tell you this though, Bucs Basement. If the Bucs come out and beat the Eagles on Monday Night Football, then they'll just get overshadowed by the other Monday Night Football game because Joe Burrow's playing in that one. But after that, people will be talking about the Bucs 3-0 start and defeating the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's on the Bucs. They can really make some noise. We do have a
chicken from Iceland. We're gonna
awesome.
Put that
we
up
had
there.
someone from Brazil and we had someone from the Netherlands as well. So shout out to all of the watchers and the international ones. Ryan Giles with the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it, Ryan. Says, fair to already be nervous about losing Dave Canales. I'm assuming you mean to a head coaching job next season.
Yeah.
No, I would not be worried just yet. This is his first time being an offensive coordinator. Yeah. He's off to a solid start, but I don't think anyone would say he's off to a great start. And unless the Bucs, break records for most points scored in a season and most points per game, I think other teams would be wary of like, okay, you did it one season. Can you do it another season? I mean, Eric Bieniemy is still trying to get a head coaching job. And, so it takes years sometimes. Bruce Arians, it took him years to finally become a head coach. And I know everyone's looking for the next big thing. And Sean McVay kind of has changed that trend a lot in the Shanahan's. But I wouldn't be worried about that.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, he's going to interview well, right? He's he good-looking dude, well-spoken, very charismatic, very engaging, very detail-oriented, but they're going to be looking at a guy that's got the body of work, right? And right now he's 2-0. He's 2 games into his play calling career, but he's got a long ways to go. I'm sorry.
You can tell that he learned, or you can tell that he coached underneath Pete Carroll.
There's no doubt.
His enthusiasm and everything.
He's the human Celsius, as you call him, man.
Yeah, it would be so funny if next year, now he's been under Todd Bowles for a year. He just every press conference, he's like, we just got to score more points. And
right.
it's just completely takes on the personality of his coach, no matter where he
is.
It's like, it doesn't give away too much or anything. I think
we always appreciate a good bear bashing here. And Kelly says, if any bears need a job, Disney's looking to add to the Country Bear Jamboree. So I appreciate that.
Another super chat from Paul, aka Florida Dreamhouse. Thanks, Paul. Says
one more super chat.
One more super chat to thank Matt for his picks. His picks and my playing them fund my super chat addiction. It's that full circle thing. LOL. Paul, thank you so much for mentioning that, because if you watch my show, Pewter Picks and Props, which comes out every Friday, I am undefeated picking Bucs games right now. Yes. I was correct on the spread of the Bucs +6.5 and the under against the Vikings. Yep. I took the Bucs -3 and the over of 40.5. So those both have hit. I went 5-2 with my picks last week.
Yep.
I hit both of my props this week. With the over in the passing yards for Baker Mayfield and Justin Fields. I'm not going to give away the rest of my NFL picks because I have 2 picks for the Monday night games tonight. Right. So you could still check out Pewter Picks and Props if you want to take a look at those. But in the meantime, you would also play all of these games on Underdog Fantasy, including the Monday Night Football games tonight. Pick'ems is so much fun because you're just choosing whether you think a certain player is going to have higher or lower on a certain number of their stats, whether it's a quarterback and passing yards or rushing yards for a running back and so on and so forth. You just have to pick at least 2 players, 1 from each team. And the more picks you make, whether it's 3 times, 6, 10, as you see on the screen there, the more money you can win. So obviously there is the benefit or the incentive factor to make more picks, but there is also insurance. So say you make 4 picks and you hit 3 out of the 4. If you have that insurance, you still end up winning some money. So Underdog Fantasy, use the promo code Pewter, aka spelled PEWTER.
Right.
Get a deposit bonus. Start using Pick'em, all the different games at Underdog Fantasy.
Matty Diamonds, I love it. That's your new nickname.
I'm with
fantastic.
it.
He's shining. He's shining.
I am shining.
Tom Bucs fan, 140 large. Hey, you're using my lingo there. I always tell people, like, I bet, I won 30 large on the Bucs, and they're like, you won 30 grand. I'm like, no, I didn't say 30 grand. 30 large. That's $30 for me.
Hey, winning is winning. Doesn't matter in what shape and size it comes in, as long as they're winning. And we got a super chat from Emily Compa. Thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat, Emily. You're always in the chat throughout all Pewter Report podcasts. So appreciate you, Emily, who says, it is such a breath of fresh air to have a new offense to keep everyone guessing what we are doing. Hoping we surprise many and go far this season, contradictory to many expectations out there. Emily, I'm absolutely with you. And I think maybe some of this has to do with Baker as the new starter. Trey Palmer is a shiny new toy that the Bucs can use in their offense. But I still feel like we've only seen a little bit of this offense. And I'm not saying every single game you're going to see crazy trickery and all these motions and all this stuff. We saw the Devin Tompkins end around.
Yeah, for sure.
As the season goes, we're going to see more and more of it. So,
yeah, I agree. You guys cracking me up in the comments today. That Vea sack turned them from Cocaine Bear to Care Bear. That's awesome.
My
God.
We actually have some video from Todd Bowles today, specifically talking about the great job that Vita Vea did.
Let's do it.
And talked a little bit about Mike Green and Logan Hall as well, because Mike Green got the start in this game.
Yeah.
He was he was a starter. So let's get to Todd Bowles.
I think they're coming into their own. They played hard yesterday. They got off the ball, led by Vita. Vita did some great things to free the other 2 guys up. But I think Logan's finding his niche, and Mike's playing good football right now. So if they keep getting along like that, hopefully about midseason we should hit our stride. Yeah, and he's grown into a great leadership role. He got off the ball yesterday quite a few times. He had a heck of a ball game. He kind of closed down the middle of the field for us. He got pressure in the passing game, and his stamina as he continues to run for a guy that size is still really unbelievable to look at. But he plays hard, he plays tough, and he's our anchor.
Yeah, earlier we talked about former Washington Husky Cade Otton playing 97% of the snaps.
Right.
Vita Vea, also a former Washington Husky. Maybe it's something over in Washington in their workout regimen. But
you got Greg Gaines too. He's from Washington.
But Vita's still playing all of those snaps. Was truly impressive. Again, given all the heat, because the outside linebackers, they rotated to keep everyone fresh, and clearly that paid off at the end of the game. But yeah, Vita Vea increased his snap count percentage this week at home. So he's no longer limited to a certain number of snaps. They're just letting him go, and clearly it's to the benefit of the Bucs defense.
Yeah, it really is. And when you look at somebody that size playing with as much vigor as he does, and really stamina too, like you don't see Vita Vea like taking plays off. Right. No. I mean, the plays he takes off, he's on the sidelines getting a water Gatorade. He's literally out of the game. Yeah. He's not going to loaf. That's my point. And so, it's impressive for him to be as big as he is. And also, too, and it came through in your snap count story today, just how much they rotate their defensive linemen, especially the outside linebackers. That's why those guys were so fresh. And if you look at that Shaq Barrett play, you have Greg Gaines, who's kind of getting doubled on that play. He is the nose tackle filling in for Vita on the pick six. But Logan Hall had a great rush where he was looping kind of from the outside, because it was basically a TE stunt between the tackle, Logan Hall, and Shaq Barrett, the edge rusher, who came inside and kind of like stopped and said, wait a minute, I think they're doing the screen here, and kind of drifted back and had that one-handed interception. But if you look, JTS is screaming right at Justin Fields. And I thought that was JTS's best game as a pro. Yeah. I was really impressed. And I wrote the previous week. Sometimes, I don't know if it was what I said or what the coaches said or whatever, but people at One Buck Place, they read our stuff. The players do, the general managers do, the coaches do. And one of my predictions was, if he doesn't pick up his level of play from the Minnesota game, Anthony Nelson's going to be the starter by midseason. And kudos to JTS, man. Whoever talked to him, and maybe just watch the film from his performance at Minnesota. He left some plays out there. But yesterday, different story. Hats off to JTS. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka with a hell of a game.
This is the JT, and I agree with you. I think it was his best game as a pro.
Yeah, start to finish. Yep.
Yeah, start to finish. This is the JTS that everybody envisioned when he first got drafted to Tampa. This is the JTS that can make the Bucs pass rush, especially with Shaq on one side and JTS on the other, a truly, truly horrifying group to go up against, with Vita Vea in the middle. And then, they get a little bit of a break. Well, Yaya Diaby, while I think they gave him a half sack and then they took it away. But like Yaya, I've been encouraged by what he's done.
He's next up, man.
And Anthony Nelson seems to always be in the right place in the right time. I am really, really liking this rotation outside linebacker. And I think it has motivated Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to really pick up his game. And by the way, the guy that only got in 3 snaps got a strip sack in the game with Cam Gill. So the outside linebackers are absolutely cleaning house so far early on in the season, and that's just a great sign, because your defense can be great blitzing all the time, and obviously Todd Bowles will do it with Devin White, but there's really no recipe or any type of way to counteract just a great pass rush with 4 or 5 guys up the defensive line, instilling their dominance against an offensive line. There's just not much you can do about it, and the Bucs are trying to get to that level.
It's interesting, and I think this kind of upsets the pass-happy analytics and stat nerds, and we love you guys, but the running game the running game has its place.
I'm kidding.
The running game has its place, And as Dave Canales kind of said, it's about the efficiency of it. And as Todd Bowles has said, it's about the volume of runs because passes, they stop the clock, right? And how many times did we see Byron Leftwich run on first down, and now it's 2nd and 8, and then 2 passes incomplete, and all of a sudden it's 3 and out, and you're punting the ball. Whereas this rushing attack, it still has the training wheels on, right? It went from would they have 50 some yards and no, they had 73 yards in the season opener, which was 2 yards less than what they averaged last year, which is 75. Nothing to write home about. To 120 yards yesterday, that's a good sign. But more importantly, Matt and Pewter people, what it's doing is it's keeping that defense off the field.
Yes.
And it's resting the players. So you can see plays like Carlton Davis at the end of the Vikings game have enough juice to break up that pass on 3rd down, or Shaq Barrett to be sitting down and chilling for 8 minutes while the offense is on the field, marching down the field, have enough juice to get the pick 6, or Christian Izzian or Anton Winfield to knock somebody's lights out and force a pick. That's the beauty of the running game.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be the Philadelphia Eagles or the Tennessee Titans or the Baltimore Ravens, where it's just, an absolute steamroller of a monster on the ground. But it has to be effective enough to help the defense. It's all Todd Bowles wants. It's just his defense rested. It's like, hey, you get us a lead and we're going to keep it. And then as Shaq Barrett did, he added on to it at the end.
That can't be overlooked. And I don't get about keeping the defense fresh and ready to go for the end of the game by the offense, having long sustained drives. And it's no shocker that the defense made the big play at the end when the offense controlled the football for a majority of the game. If you look at that time of possession, and there will be some people that are like, oh, you get paid all this money, like you should be ready to go no matter what.
Right.
Listen, once you get tired, you're tired, and there's not much that you can do about it.
Exactly.
And you can train as much as you want, but if you're doing 15 plays, emptying the tank, and then you get a 2-second break, and then you're back at it, you're just going to be exhausted. There's not much you can do about it. Yeah. Paul, with AKA Florida Dreamhouse, with another $5 super chat. You are the man. Thank you so much, Paul. You are great. He says, drink Celsius, watch Pewter Report daily, bet Matty Diamond's picks, watch Bucs football, squash the Baker hate on social media equals living your best life.
Yeah.
You are the best, Paul, aka Florida Dreamhouse.
Yeah,
thank you so much. And we got another super chat from Anthony Pep with the $4.99 super chat, who says, simple super chat for a simple reason, pay Mike. And then parentheses, y'all the best. Thanks for all the amazing coverage. Anthony, you are the best. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is part of what we talked about a little bit, Scott, with Mike, and why the Bucs kind of are juggling a couple of things with deciding whether or not to pay Mike, because you're going to have to see how the season goes. And when you're off to a 2-0 start, it makes for more of a case of we need to re-sign Mike because this team's still good.
Tristan Wirfs, Anton Winfield, Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Who am I forgetting? Devin White.
In the mix.
Levante David. This is big. I wrote about it in my Fab Five on Friday. 2024. It didn't get easier for Mike Greenberg, does it? We love Greeny. It doesn't get any easier, right? It's like 2021, re-sign everybody, Greeny. Okay, fine, I'll do it, right? He re-signs everybody, and then it's like last year, you're dealing with, hey, we're going to let Carlton Davis and he's going to check the market, and see, and they brought him back and they made some more signings. Oh, Tom Brady's in retiring? Good. Now re-sign him, fit him under the cap, right? And then this past year, it's like we have no money. We're done with the Super Bowl. We got to put the credit card away. Let Jamel Dean and Levante go and try to re-sign him on the cheap. Find us a cheap quarterback at $4 million or under. It didn't get any easier. And now next year's assignment, hey, we have all the mega superstars in this team just about coming up for free agency. Which ones are we going to keep and for how much? It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. I think Mike Greenberg's up to the task. Appreciate the text here. Really appreciate that. Pewter Report, aka the Raymond James Syndicate, influencing the Bucs from behind the scenes for years. We have our buttons we press. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, Bucs sound like they need Celsius on the sidelines. Well, yeah, but I think they've got a big Gatorade contract. Usually, most NFL teams do. Speaking of contracts, it's really important when you're looking to buy or sell a house that when you put a house under contract, that you're getting the absolute house you want in the right neighborhood for the right price. And you're going to want a professional in your corner. And the only pro I can refer you guys to is the official realtor of Pewter Report. And that, of course, is Eric Gross in the Eric Gross Group. Folks, I know Eric, been communicating with him. I met him this offseason. He's a great Pewter Report reader, listener, and watcher of the podcast. And the Eric Gross Group is the type of Pro Bowl caliber realty company that you want in your corner. When it comes to buying or selling a house, it's a tough market out there. Eric has done plenty of deals in this crazy real estate market, and you're going to want him in your corner. You got to visit their website. It's housesinfla.com. It's a fantastic website. You can view their inventory and check out all of the different houses that they have in their listings. And the biggest thing that I can also tell you too is it's not just the Eric Gross Group. It's also part of the eXp Realty Group with 85,000 agents on their roster. So let's say you're moving out of state into Florida, or let's say, unfortunately, you have to leave the great state of Florida and go elsewhere. Eric and the Eric Gross Group can help you buy or sell in the state that you're in and do the same thing here in Florida. So it's a end-to-end transaction. Their clients are not just transactions, they're lifelong friendships. Don't let the stress of buying or selling a home keep you out of the game. Let the Eric Gross Group take the pressure off. Again, visit housesinfla.com or find them on Instagram and Facebook at Eric Gross Group.
All right.
Wherever you are in your home ownership journey, the Eric Gross Group, the official realtor of Pewter Report, is going to help you out.
Make sure you check them out. Their website, their phone number, you can see it on the screen. And Scott, as we start to wrap up the show, there was something during the game I want to know, as we get another super chat from Paul, aka Florida Dream House. A playoff win in 2023 for the Bucs equals Glazers opening their wallet. They have no choice. Yeah, winning.
That's actually a great point.
Yeah,
it is.
Winning in third is a lot.
It does. And I think that the Glazers, whether it's Mike or Devin or whoever, they're taking a wait and see approach, Matt. It's like, do we have the right offensive coordinator who's new? Is this the right system? Do we have the right head coach? Because they know they've got the right defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles. Did they have the right head coach in Todd Bowles, right? That's what they want to find out. Did they have the right quarterback? That's the most important position in football. If they feel like the Bucs have reloaded and are ready to, take fire at the NFC South title and go for that again and be a real contender in the NFC for the Super Bowl, then I think you will see the wallet open up a little bit. What they don't want to do is make all these investments into a team that might be going, down a little bit. And they've witnessed that, Matt. It was the Tony Dungy Gruden years, and then right down to Raheem Morris, Greg Schiano, Lovie Smith, Dirk Cutter, and then the resurgence again with Arians. It was a dark dozen years. So I can't blame them. It's a lot of money, but we'll see.
I think a lot of the times it's best to be proactive, but in this situation specifically, it's almost a little bit better to be reactive with with how they look. I want to get to this video real quick. For those watching the Bucs game yesterday, or maybe you were on the Pewter Game Day stream with me, I noticed that Cade Otton, who went barehanded at Washington, wore gloves in the NFL, but he was barehanded again yesterday. Yeah. And I was like, why was there a move for that? And he explained the story. It's actually quite comical.
I felt good. It was, a game where we knew they were going to kind of play deep. And so that some of the check downs would be there for us. And so I was ready for when Baker needed me to make the plays and try and get as many yards as I could. So it's always fun to catch the ball, but it's also fun because we stuck with the run all game just to wear them down and, just keep going and execute and, just as a team, continue to work until we were able to put the game away.
I noticed you went back to going barehanded instead of gloves. What went into that decision?
Yeah, it was on Tuesday. I brought my gloves out to practice, and I realized I brought 2 left-handed gloves.
Oh, no.
And so I was like, all right, just throw them to the side. And then throughout practice, I just felt good catching the ball. And And so I did it again the next day and it felt good again. And so I just felt like going back to it. Felt good.
So
Matty Diamonds with money questions today, man. This is awesome.
If anyone wanted to know, because I legitimately wanted to know, like why all of a sudden was he going barehanded? So if anyone else wanted to know as well, there's your answer from Kate.
That's awesome. Also, Matt did a fantastic job 2 weeks in a row on Pewter Game Day, which is our live in-game show. We start off with an hour pregame show, and that's going to take place again, and we'll promo the Eagles Bucs game as well. Bailey Adams will be doing Pewter Game Day with Matt at the stadium with me. But we have got a cool little graphic, a little intro graphic that our good friend Kyle did. He's our webmaster. He's the fifth Beatle, as we like to call him, at Pewter Report. So if you missed out on Pewter Game Day, you also missed out on this cool graphic. But this is the intro. You know, we do this intro for the Pewter Report podcast. Welcome. No, I'm just kidding. We already did the intro of the show. No, but this is the new Pewter Game Day intro. So check this out. Keeping with the pirate theme there, that didn't get you fired up.
Like, how does that not pump you up for?
I know. Yeah. So make sure you, if you're not going to the game, watch the game, and then also tune in to Pewter Game Day, and we'll be on talking about that as well. Plus the Pewter pregame show, an hour before kickoff. Fire the cannons, exactly. Yep. Listen, folks, appreciate that. Yeah, we'll pass along these kudos to Kyle, and appreciate you guys for all the super chats and listening in today. We do have one more promo that I want to get to, but this one is about money. We've talked about winning money and gambling, and Matt's big day, and I had a big day yesterday with the Bucs after taking an absolute bath in college football. I was awful, man. I only won on Clemson. That was it. My K-State Wildcats got their butts kicked. I'm going out to Manhattan for the K-State UCF game. Getting ready to go to Sun Lake High School to watch my daughter, Jillian. She's a cheerleader, but she's doing her powder puff game tonight in an hour. So that'll be fun. I'm going to watch her kick some ass, but whatever. And but the thing is when you do win a whole bunch of money, or maybe you just want to pocket your paychecks, invest that money. And when you invest it, invest wisely at Immuni Financial.
At Immuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you? Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah. We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track, so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Immuni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
Folks, I have most of my financial assets at Immuni Financial for one reason. They're the best in the business. Managing your family's wealth means more to them at Immuni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory service, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and insurance services. With 40 years of experience, let Immuni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. Give them a call at 800-868-6864 or visit them on the web at immuni.com.
And after you do that, make sure you follow us on all of our social media at Pewter Report on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. We are at Pewter Report, and then our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV, where we got tons of content out, whether it's different interviews, things from practice, our podcast, our Pewter Game Day show. Of course, we'll have Wednesday's show where we preview Bucs versus Eagles. That'll be at 4 p.m. So until then, please follow us on all of our stuff, and that's going to do it for today's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you on Wednesday for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Big Monday night game tonight. NFC South is heavily involved. Peace out.
Peace out. 42 away from 12,000.
Yeah. Please subscribe.